Hey guys, Jen Graves here. So doing the next chapter for No Longer Human. This one is No Longer Human, um, chapter 11. We have one more chapter after this, so let's get through it. So before we're back to Yozo has finally gotten back into his whole drinking mood and everything because of what happened with Yoshiko, and now has basically gotten tricked into doing drugs, and now he's hooked on it. So we're going from there. And one day he stressed himself out so much that his hair actually turned white overnight, and now his hair is as long as it was before that we've seen it, but it is solid white. So we'll move forward from there. Um, so he's getting symptoms from it already. He says, lately my body hair gets to me and I'm obsessed with plucking it out. So he's using tweezers, plucking all his body hair out, like many who are drug addicted. At long last, I've ended up a drug addict. And he's doing different drugs from this Persian guy, which is weird. The Persian guy actually has he's wearing a jacket with a Gurren Lagann symbol on it. I didn't notice that before, so that's really weird. But he goes and he pays him and gives him drugs, whatever it is, all this different stuff. Um, he's using speed. He says there is a habitual use of speed. It's brought him to various bodily changes. A strange smell emanating from my mouth, so I started carrying breath freshener. And even when it's cold, I'm clammy with sweat, so wet wipes are a necessity for him to carry around. I can't stand constricting attire, so he wears basically like a big baggy jumpsuit or sweatsuit or whatever, and he has no appetite, but has a big craving for um, sweets. So that's basically all he does. Um, I think he writes on a story and then takes breaks, and that's what he does. So he basically gets drugged up and eats sweets and, can't live his life anymore because of his addiction. Um, his savings are almost depleted from his manga, and his work is beginning to suffer. So the editor in chief that took over for the old editor um, has come to talk to him, and he has a new idea for Ping. Ping going into outer space, and he wants to basically put it in a new perspective. And he proposes just a crazy idea for um, what Ping should do, his character and his manga. And it's an idea that the editor in chief doesn't like. Thinks he's improving the industry, but it's not true. He goes in and gives himself a bump of speed and all that other stuff at the restaurant and goes back home. Nothing's clean. I mean, he's basically gone back to his hikikomori lifestyle. And the editor in chief is still trying to help him out. He says, even though you want to draw about space and whatnot, he tells Yoshiko that that's fine as long as he does it. And he thinks that this will remake the whole manga industry by having Ping go into space and all that other stuff. And his art has taken a big hit to it. It's actually pretty crap. Um, and he's gone crazy. He has kind of done that, talking about maybe this will be able to become a live action movie, and that Tom Hanks can play the leading role, which is obviously a funny thing in this catastrophe that is going on. He gives it back to him, saying that he won't accept it, the editor in chief, and for some reason Yozo believes that it's already been sent off to the printer already, and that he'll do another chapter that will be in full color for him. Still thinks that it'll be turned into a Hollywood film. He sees the lady with the ladybug tattoo. Um, you know, he's basically disillusioned. He sees her there and thinks that it's her, even though there's no one there. And he's upset about it, reliving his past. That he's upset with some of the stuff that has happened. I guess him and Yozo have slept together or something. Yoshiko tells him that she's pregnant, and he says that's not my child. You should do away with it. Says, of course it's yours. Whose else would it be? Da, da, da. And that again, he's back to it being her fault. That's what he's been doing the whole time. It's always her fault because of her not being able to do away with her trusting with some people. Even though they didn't see that coming at all, but now he's thinking that all she did was with the editor in chief, with Maseo, with all these other people, that's what she did. That it wasn't just that one time where somebody went and did it to her, that she goes around and cheats on him all the time. And he wants to go to this dimension that he created for Ping called the sixth dimension, and it's a dimension devoid of pain, so that he can feel nothing anymore. Probably like some of the first times when he took a hit from the speed and all that other stuff. And he's at the point of no return. He's reading a different issue that had come out before of somebody else's manga, and or of like a magazine, and Ping's not in it, and threatening the editor, calling them, which, I mean, we know that it was never given to him. His serialization got canceled. It means they are no longer carrying it. That was gone. He was going to start drawing the hentai manga again and selling that off. Yoshiko is trying to tell him that he can get a job at a convenience store. They give away lunches for them. And he's still under the disillusion that the money from his hentai manga will come pouring in. He'll get a lot from it. It won't matter. All that other stuff. He found his old laptop with his story in it. His autobiography novel. And thinks that he can sell that off and make him rich as well. He calls the old editor, the Masayo's old editor that he was with the daughter, and trying to talk to her, trying to get her to buy his work and sell it and stuff for his autobiography, that he'll win literary awards about it. Which, I mean, she works at the same company as that editor and the editor-in-chief, so Um, he already talked to her about it because she knew that she was kind of close with him at one point. Um, so he has told her that if you buy my novel, we can get back together. We can fix what we had before, and we don't have to worry about what's going on anymore. We can be back together. Which I'm sure she already knows that he's on drugs, calls her names. He takes the last amount that he had, and he's back to that whole idea that he needs money. Money is the way of the world, kind of thing that we saw before. Um, and that Yoshiko is having morning sickness too, so she's getting the thing, and he's jumping back and forth, almost like he's like bipolar or something. Telling her to get rid of it still. You don't need this. And he's still on the whole thing that what happened to her isn't anything because it doesn't make her. Now it's a part of her. Um, she herself is even though she was sullied, as it said in one of the other things, it was her that is a part of it. She is a person that is a sex crazy maniac. So he gives her ad to a lot of love hotels basically so she can go do all that stuff and still um, saying all that it was her, she was the person that did it. Um, she was the person that did it. She was the person that allowed it to happen, and she was basically with Maseo, his friend, and the editor and editor in chief, and just this whole big crazy thing. Um, he brings a guy back to his house and has him pay him to sleep with his wife. So he got the money, and she's yelling back at him, come back, save me, save me. And just for a moment, the sunset reminded him of how she was before when they first got together, and that this isn't something that he really wanted her to go through, even though he had just done that. The guy was kind of doing the same thing, and now Yozo has come back to kick the guy out and saying that he'll give him the money back, and that he can use him as an apology, um, and it'll be free. Uh, so he has gotten to this point where now he is realizing that all he did was wrong, basically, and that now he understands that he loves Yoshiko still, and that, or Yoshino, um, and that he is going to be with her and hold her, and that he is telling her all this stuff, and she said, "What's What's wrong with you? Why can't you go back to being who I knew before? Why can't you be the old Yozo, like when they first got together, before all that stuff happened and he started doing drugs? He finally admits to her that he's been doing drugs and that he's sick, that he's going to quit, and that he can move forward with it without them having to worry about anything. He can draw ping again, it'll do better, and that they can have the baby for real, and that they're finally smiling and everything. But then it goes back to him with his whole thing of it. He said, God, however, did not stay his punishing hand. There's a second round of punishment coming, even though there's been a couple days of them doing good. This has Flounder has come back, his dad's friend. His father's passed away. That's what he came to tell him. And it's been half a year. And that now that this whole thing has rattled his life, we're getting a page of marionettes all the way through his life up to what it is now, and what the marionettes basically that he's always been that way, and his dad has always been his tireless manipulator, even though he's been away from him forever, has finally died, so has no control over the string, even though this whole time he has basically thought that this is what it is. My dad's always had this grip on me, especially with the money and everything, even though his dad and everybody else hasn't helped him in forever, And that he's pried the stick away from the marionette to be his own puppet. He's bringing him his part of the inheritance. And now he is back to, I will claim this money, yes, and as soon as possible. What he's going to do with it. He's got an evil look on his face. And then it says, thus my ultimate ruin came from my father after all. His father giving him the inheritance ruined him altogether, and all that other stuff. So on this, we're back to the black page finally. So the only thing on this one is it says hell. Period. That's it. So we're not getting all the stuff that we had before of how he felt. Now it's just he's in hell. But now we've come full circle of the drugs affecting him all the way, running out of money, him going to the extreme of doing everything because he's so cracked out, everything, and all this other stuff. He is now making his life worse because he thinks that it'll make it better, I guess. Doing that, and still that idea that Yoshino, whatever it is now, has always been doing this, and now he's gotten the whole thing in his head that it's all going to be better. I don't have to worry about it. It's not as bad as it was before. It's not anywhere near close to what it was before. I'm not going to have to worry about it anymore. We can mend our broken fence and do better. We can have a better life. We can go back to the way it was. Giving her these promises just before Flounder, who he's seen before, comes back into his life and basically tells him, here's this money from your inheritance. And he's got that whole idea of, I've got this money back. I've gotten money back in my hand. Now that I've gotten, I can get my drugs again. And more often than not, that happens a lot of times too. This is one of those other things, guys, that I brought up before. That this series does not pull its punches on the stuff that it gives you. One of the things that makes it so good is that it does give you all that stuff. It gives you that stuff, lets you know that you're basically human, even though reading this, obviously the character has become no longer human. So, anyway, that is going to be it. Thanks for watching this one as well. We have one left. Stay tuned, and I'll catch you over there here in a second, I guess. So stay tuned. I'll catch you later. Jen Graves out. Bye.